Hey everybody, Charlie Stevens here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another guitar lesson. Today I'd like to show you this cool arrangement I made up for Deck the Halls. So I just made this up when I was experimenting with the concept of a pedal point. So a pedal point is something that we've learned about on this channel, so please check out the video about pedal points if you're not familiar with that. But there's two main ways to do a pedal point, and that's a tonic pedal or a dominant pedal point. So in this case, we're doing the dominant pedal point. So a pedal point, what we're going to do, that's going to mean we're going to play the same note over and over again in between our melody notes. Okay? So this song happens to be in the key of A, and the note that I'm using as my pedal point is my open E string. Okay? So that means that this is a dominant pedal because E is the fifth note of A. A, B, C, D, E. Okay? Which is something we learned when we learned our power chords, right? That A and E, they were a fifth apart. We learned that there. So that's why fifths are very useful. Knowing our power chords and the notes in them are very useful for other reasons than just playing power chords. It can help us with things that help us deepen our understanding of music theory, like this concept of the tonic and the dominant, which are the 1 and the 5. Okay, so in this one we're using the dominant pedal, and that just means we're going to go back to the open E string all the time. Okay, this is very similar to Thunderstruck. So I made a video about Thunderstruck recently, so you might want to watch that one first. I feel like that one is a little bit, I think it's a little bit more simple than this arrangement in some ways. This one goes a little higher up the neck and things like that, but they're pretty similar. They use this pedal point idea. And in this case, we're going to use the pedal point in between the melody notes of the tune Deck the Halls. So I love using Christmas songs or, nursery rhymes or songs like that we all know. We all grow up singing. Whether or not you like Christmas songs, you probably know them really well from hearing them a lot, right? So I could kind of use my ear to find that melody. And I noticed it was cool to throw in that pedal point. It allowed me to play it a lot faster, or at least sound like I was playing a lot faster, right? So that was interesting to me when I was messing around with this a long time ago. And I've enjoyed showing it to my students then. It's a little bit tricky, but it's really fun. Everybody has a good time playing this, and I've had younger students that have been able to play through this, but we don't have to do it super fast or anything, but that's an option. As you work it up, you can. So anyway, we're playing the melody notes of Deck the Halls, and in between each one of those notes, we're going to play our pedal point, which is on the open E. We're going to play an open E string in between every one of those notes. I kind of think about this like the character Stevie from Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know if you ever saw the show Malcolm in the Middle, but Malcolm had a friend named Stevie, and he had breathing problems, and he would have to take a breath in between every word. He'd say, "Hi, Malcolm," and he would take a breath between each word. So I kind of think about this style of playing to be similar to that. We're kind of singing, but we're going, "Deck the halls with," right? So all the words to that song are going to be the places where we're playing frets, and when we're playing the open string, it would just sort of be in between those notes. We're just kind of filling up space in a way that's going to sound musical and cool. Okay? So I've actually simplified this a little bit. I think in the real version, we would start it with a dotted quarter note. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we just learned about the dotted quarter note recently on this channel, so please check out that video. We will see that at the end of this arrangement. But I sort of evened it out when I was making this up, just because I was just sitting around doing it from ear and doing it for fun. And this is more like Thunderstruck or something, right? I was kind of influenced by having learned a tune like that. So we're going to even it out a bit, and we're going to make it really simple, okay? And I'll have tab for all this that we can follow along with too. You can also download the tab at my website. And we'll just go really slow, and we'll work through this. But I just wanted to explain how I made this up first. I just kind of was fishing around for the melody that I'd heard throughout my life, and use this open string trick, which I knew that I could do, which I've shown you that you can do, right? So you can do this treatment to a different song, or you can kind of pause the video and try to do it by ear and use that method to figure it out if you'd like. But I have it all tabbed out, and we're going to go nice and slow and show you the whole thing. So let's dig into it. Okay, so it starts way up here on the 12th fret. That's our first little pattern here, and I'm going to use different fingers for this. I'm going to use the pinky, the second finger, and the index finger. Okay? I'm going to have this little zone, and as I do this song, I'm going to be switching around the finger position that I'm using. We could technically use just one finger. And that could actually be a cool exercise maybe, but I like to kind of look at these little zones. When I have to stay in a position for a few notes, it can be really nice to use different fingers. So I'm going to kind of show you the ones that I choose, but you're free to kind of come up with your own as well. Really, you could just do it with one finger if you wanted to, but this is a good way of checking out these positions. So if we stay in these little position boxes, it can be really handy because we'll start to recognize those from our other scales. That we may know. For A, we might know other positions down the road. Okay, so these are sort of using those. So thinking in this way of being in these little mini positions, even though we're only on one string, is pretty handy for things that will come later. So I'm going to show you the fingers I'm using, but again, feel free to kind of make up your own if you'd like. Really, it just matters which notes we play. The fingers are not quite the important part of being able to play this song. Okay, so I'm going to start with the pinky though, here on the 12th fret. To open, this is exactly like Thunderstruck. So it does that, hops back, but it's got these three notes in there. These are the same pattern on this string. But then we keep going down. So I hop my first finger down to 7 here. 12, 10, 9, down to 7, oh. Okay, so that's the entire first measure. 12, oh, 10, oh, 9, oh, down to 7, oh. Then I keep going down. 5. Now I'm going to use my index finger on 7, and then my pinky on 9. And then my index finger comes back to 5. Okay, so now I'm thinking about this little mini position. This little stretch here. This is actually the first 3 notes of my scale. We're actually in the key of A. Here's my A note here on the 5th fret. That's a full A scale on one string. Okay, and we're actually going to use that entire scale all the way up to that high A at some point, okay? So just like when we did single string scales with our open strings, I think we even did a C where we started on the 1st fret too, right? This would work the same way as that. We would start on the 5th fret because that's where our A is, and we go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And that's how we would play an A major scale on our E string. And we could put the pedal in between. In this song, we'll even go down to this G sharp. We'd be allowed to go down the scale all the way to the end of the string. And actually, we'd even be able to finish it and go further, right? So we don't have to be limited to the 1 octave, but we can find this 1 octave scale by using our pattern from here. Will get us all the way up to here on the 17th fret. Okay, so that's actually a good thing to do because we're going to cover all this ground in Deck the Halls here, believe it or not. So we got our first measure down to here, and our second measure does that in this little mini position. Okay, now we're on to our third measure. That starts at 7. So now I'm into a different position. See that? I was here, these fingers, then I was here, spread, now I'm here, based on the notes I need at the time, right? That's kind of an in-between one as I'm bouncing down. That's in position, bouncing down. Gonna stay in position for a little bit. Good, now I move up to the next position. Staying, using different fingers. And then it ends here for that one. Okay, and then that's sort of a longer note. Fa la 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 la. You'd kind of hold that one. So instead what we're going to do is we're just going to play an open string for a bunch of times for longer notes in this arrangement, okay? We'll just kind of use the open string as a rhythmic placeholder. Right? Then we go to 7. And I'm shifting down, use my third finger on 7, so I can get this one here. And then I go down to the 4th fret and back to that one. Now you could make a case for using the pinky here. Because then I get this nice little thing that fits over a 4 fret range, which is nice, right? I don't know, for whatever reason I just use these 2 fingers and hop that one back, okay? I like being able to do this one and then jumping that same one down as opposed to going all the way down here. But I could see where this would maybe be a better choice. So I'll let you kind of decide what you want to do there, okay? From the 3rd measure. Okay, kind of a lot of open strings in there, so we need to be careful when we're doing this. I'm kind of singing along in my head and just playing the open string until the next melody note shows up is my method. But you can follow along with the tab here and make sure you're paying attention to the exact beats and how long we're holding all that stuff. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that note, when we shift, happens on 4. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so thinking about where the notes happen, which beats the fretted note happens, that's really a good thing to do, and then you can just kind of hang out on the open string. Okay, so again, really slowly from the 3rd measure. Okay? Yeah, so just a whole lot of open strings. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now the melody sort of repeats itself. We go back way up here to 12. That's exactly the same as we just had. Measures 7 through 12 are exactly the same. We had a direct repeat. We just did that again, right? All right, now we get a different pattern in measure 13. Then actually the part we just learned would repeat again. Sort of. Okay, cool. So let's look at this part here at measure 13. Back to that little position we saw. 7, open, 9, open, 10, open. And I'm using index, ring, pinky. Back to index. Okay, then we shift up. I shift up to the next position, okay? So right in measure 14 starts. So measure 13 is all right here. Measure 14 is all right here. Not all right there, but measure 14 will start here. In the one we started in. Right, that's our first one, just going the other way. but we have to bounce back to the 7th fret. 9, 10, 12, 7. Okay, back to where we just were. 9, 10, 12, open, open, open. Then we shift up. 14, 16, 17. Okay, so this is the hard part. This is a really cool song for electric guitar, by the way. It will sound kind of, when I wrote this, I was trying to, make it sound kind of like shreddy or something. So on electric, this will be much easier to play. So if you have one, feel free to use that. I'm doing it on this just in case you don't have one. I wanted to show you that it's possible, but this part is a little bit tricky, and now the fingering really is more important to me because my hand is touching this part of the guitar, and I have a 14 fret guitar. That means where the body and the guitar meet is at the 14th fret. Some are at the 12th. So if yours is at the 12, you'll have more of a difficult time doing this. But you still should technically be able to get it done. Maybe not up to tempo. That will be the hard part. But you can kind of reach out, even get your thumb over on this side of the guitar and reach way high up. This might be the highest up the neck some of you have ever played, and that's really cool. But anyhow, assuming you have a 14 fret guitar, your hand is going to be kind of touching the guitar here. And you're going to be reaching up pretty much, for me, as far as I can reach without having to move my thumb around to the front side to go even further, okay? So hopefully this is not too bad and you're able to reach up here and we can have some fun playing this high up on the neck. So anyway, okay, that's our finger position. We're going to do one index finger, that is, here on the 14th fret, our third finger here on the 16th fret, and our fourth finger, our pinky, here on the 17th fret. Why not use the same fingers on the way back? Then we have 16, open, open, 14 with some opens, and then we shift back for 12. Now the next note is 12 again. We're kind of going back to the beginning again. I'm going to use my pinky again, reset. So I just used this finger on 12, now I'll use my pinky again. We saw that exactly from the beginning. Okay? Now it jumps way up. Could go down like that. I actually made it do this. And go back up to this 17th fret just for fun. So that whole last chunk that starts at the 19th measure. Okay, so that's just what we saw before. Then we go way up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so that's where our dotted quarter note comes in here in the 21st measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so we don't play anything on 4, we play something on the end of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, 1 and 2 and then, let's see what finger I use for that part. I guess I use my pinky there, so. And then I'm using my second finger, I'm reaching down, so I'm kind of in this position, I guess you could say. 10, 12, and 14 if I was going to call that a position. And then I slide down to the 9th fret, slide up to the 12th fret, and I reach way up with the pinky. Okay? That's an arpeggio. So we're resolving up to the A, but you can resolve down to the A if you're more comfortable with that and you don't want to go way back up the neck. The first part of the melody we sort of need to. we kind of need to go up for that part. Unless we play the whole thing an octave down. But at the end, it's sort of an optional choice. I just thought it sounded cool to go up there. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So... Cool. So this may be a challenge for some of you, but hopefully you'll find it fun. That's kind of the point, you know. And we had done Thunderstruck recently and learned about these pedal points, and we just learned about this dotted quarter note, which we can use in this piece here. So yeah, so you know, even if you only get a few licks from this and not the whole thing, that's cool. Or maybe you decide you can get the whole thing and you say, wow, I want to do a different Christmas song now, or a different song entirely now, you know. And maybe you'll kind of get the hang of how you can bounce around on this stuff and you can make something else up. Maybe you'll write something. Okay, so just kind of some fun stuff to play around with, and the time I'm shooting this is in December, so I figured it'd be a good time to show it to you. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying this course, please subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in another lesson really soon. Thanks again. Bye.